Hey everybody, this is Erica here with the Classy Climb blog, coming to you today in our Slow and Low series, talking about side hustles, side businesses, niche service businesses, and how you can get one of those started today. Again, today we have Gabe Strom. I might want to correct myself. He's coming here from Chicago, Illinois. You can check him out on his website at gabestrom.com, strom.com. How are you doing today, Gabe?
Doing good, and you did pretty good at Strom.
Oh,
So
Strom.
it's a German name, but I get Storm, I get Strom. When I meet people in person, I get a lot of Dave, even because
hmm
my name Gabe. So yeah, but hey, glad to be here with you, and excited to do this.
All right. So, how's the weather in Chicago? I had to ask.
When we start an interview off. Yeah, so it's like 7 degrees outside. I haven't checked my phone today yet. That's one of the benefits to working from home.
Mhm.
My wife works downtown, so I always kind of give her a hard time about that. But yeah, it's chilly. So you're in Austin, Texas. I'm sure you guys got a nice little day going on there. But thanks for asking.
So today I was going to ask you about how did you, where were you born and how did you get started? How did it affect you?
Yeah. So short, I guess short story you're asking. The
Sure.
entrepreneur journey. I don't know how. We will keep this bite sized for you watching at home. But I mean, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much. I'm one of those weird people that's had the bug since as long as I can remember. I mean,
hmm
I just visited my folks this weekend. Even as a kid, I was asking questions about why the way things were the way they were, and my mind just naturally thought about ways to improve things and efficiencies and just stuff like that. So
hmm
I started my first business when I was in college. It was an exterior painting company. That was when I first took a lot of the head knowledge and applied it, and did that for a couple of years to part pay my way through school,
Right.
and got into direct sales after that. Started looking for a system and got really focused. One of the books that I read early on was The E-Myth by Michael
Uh-huh.
Gerber, which was like a huge turning point. It's a staple I recommend to entrepreneurs. Learning how to systematize your business,
Right.
and this was the first big aha that I had. In my professional entrepreneur part of my career.
hmm
Just learning how to systematize things. So went through direct sales, discovered direct response marketing, discovered internet
Uh-huh.
marketing, discovered that there was a better way to market your business online, doing interviews and things like we're doing right now, and just being able to connect with people literally all over the world. And I started a podcast a little over a year ago, and I've had listeners, and I forget what the count is, like 70 some different countries right now. And most of our audience is in the U.S., but a lot of people in Australia. I started working with some clients in Australia, and opportunities that I never would have had if it wasn't for the internet. So I don't know what part of the story you want to dig into with the journey, but like a lot of entrepreneurs, it's been up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, and it's been a journey. But I love what you're doing with the side hustle, because whether you're working a full time job now and you're watching this, or your full time hustle, that's really what it is. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of the cliff notes, I guess. Depending on what you want to dive into.
Sure. So what were your biggest challenges? I know you started with the painting company, like to pay for college. What were some of the biggest challenges as you started those businesses?
You know what? It's funny you talk about or asking about the initial business, because really, as I've looked back over the years, the successes we've had and the failures, I've learned so much during that first business. The first initial challenge, and I think this was kind of the big, initial on, was cold calling.
Ah.
So in that business, that was a service business. We did exterior house painting, and so the way
hmm
that we got clients was by going and knocking on people's doors in the neighborhood, saying, "Hey, would you like a free estimate? I noticed your house
Right.
had some paint that was peeling. I'm a college student. I've got a business, and I want to see if you wanted a free estimate." And so that, when all my friends, this was when I was like 19 probably, and all my buddies were in a fraternity, like, hey, on Saturdays, they were like going to like beer breakfast and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I was like getting up to go like work on my business, and that was, I think that looking back, that lesson, it's kind of the same today. Like all my friends, the same ones are going to jobs, and I'm, kind of choosing a different path. So
Gotcha.
it's kind of a lesson of, if you, if you want something, you got to go get it, and two, what are you willing to sacrifice to get that? So I know that might not seem like a big sacrifice to maybe someone listening who's got a family or something, but at the time when I was a 19-year-old kid, sacrificing my Saturday mornings and my spring break was like everything.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and still today too. Anytime we launch anything new or do anything new, there's always that hustle period when you launch something
hmm
where you just got to go out and now with the internet, obviously things are a little bit different, so we can attract customers to us and do SEO, make videos, and do things like that. Has a residual effect, which was kind of the second learning experience. How do you take this specialized knowledge that you might have and duplicate it? But yeah, that was kind of the initial challenge. I mean, there's been a whole series of challenges. We could probably talk for show about all the failures. I mean, I guess that's where a lot of the lessons are. But yeah, that was one of the early ones.
I love when I hear people talk about cold calling or doing a personal visit, because I go, that person knows their house might have needed to be painted a year ago. But now you've come to their door and here's an opportunity for them to say yes or no. And so I think people kind of throw away cold calling and throw away personal door-to-door knocking. But it's very popular here in Texas, and I think it shouldn't be discounted. It's a learning lesson beyond anything you can read about, I think. So
yeah. Well, and I think that's part of just showing up, right? Success, they say, is, what is it, like 80% is showing up?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're right, though. If someone's got a need, chances are I'm showing up at a house where a husband and wife have talked about this before. The wife's probably like, yo, why don't you go paint the house? It's like, no way, why don't you go paint the house? And they've probably discussed it. And so when you show up, at the time when I showed up as that person saying, hey, I can help solve this problem for you, it was a numbers game. And one other thing I learned from that experience, too, though, is I got a first taste at the 80-20 rule. So where 80% of your success comes from 20% of your activities.
Yes.
And I saw this in that business. There was one particular street. I did this in a small town in central Illinois, and it was or a medium-sized town. It was the college town that I went to in Charleston, Illinois. And, population like 20,000 people maybe. Yeah. But there was one particular street that had a series of big old Victorian homes that people would purchase. And when I look back on I think we did like 58 or 60,000 in revenue that the first summer that we did it. I did the business the second year and whatever. But they all came from the same street, like most of the big houses. So, and now when I look at online marketing, which is the space we're in now, we trace back and track all of our sales. It comes from a handful of sources, Google, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, podcasts, email marketing. There's certain channels. And in your business, if you're watching whatever your side hustle is, chances are a lot of your success can be had in just a couple areas. If you can simplify and say, what are the few activities that I do each week that actually cause the result that I want? Right. And in the painting business or in real estate or even mortgage or lots of different industries, just getting out there and playing the numbers game, that's a big piece of it. But
oh yeah, I mean, it's real estate is very interesting in Texas. I think 82% of first-time home buyers go with the first person that interviews them, first agent that pretty much meets them. So mostly it's showing up. So that's the kind of funny part about it. People always say there's too many agents. You just got to show up.
You got to be in the right place at the right time, right?
True.
You got to be in the place where they're looking. Yeah.
So what would others say about your company? Like if someone said, if I was in Chicago and I go, man, that Gabe, he's going to offer me some coaching or he's going to offer me, some kind of specialized package you offer. What would be something one of your past customers say or others would say about your company?
Yeah. What would our past customers say? I mean, I've worked with people, got started teaching in the info space, in the social media space, and the company's evolved. This year, I'm working on a membership site for Amazon resellers. So we've got a program for people that want to learn how to sell physical products on Amazon with Amazon's Fulfillment by Amazon service. So we've got a membership site that we've set up a private Facebook group for that. That's my core business this year. Not just this year, but it's just a relevant, kind of recent thing at the time that we're doing this interview. Okay. But really, for the past 8 years, I've refined a coaching process that starts with something called the Backwards Blueprint. I have a 6-week program called Ignition that's designed to accelerate someone's success. And really, what the blueprint is, and this is really the biggest gift that I've received as an entrepreneur, is mentorship and coaching from people who have been where I want to go, and adding value to those relationships, whether you're buying their time, whether you're working in their companies. There's different ways to earn mentorship and pay for it. But that's been this blueprint process of getting. I've noticed from entrepreneurs and people that work full-time jobs. Really, I'm talking to like the 70% of Americans who hate what they do or are dissatisfied at
Mm-hmm.
work. So you're doing something that you're not fulfilled into.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the reason for that's the problem, but the symptom, or excuse me, that's the symptom. The problem, the root problem of that is people don't have a clear vision of what they actually want in the first place.
Right, right, right.
And so they get sucked into working in a job or a career or a profession that they fell into or whatever happened, and they weren't ever intentional from the beginning of what do I actually want to create with my life. So,
Right.
I love that you're doing the show and interviewing entrepreneurs, talking about the side hustle, because we live in, it's 2015. We're going to date this content whenever you're watching this
Oh
video.
yeah, it's okay.
With the internet, you can pretty much, with a couple $100, you can start a
Oh yeah.
business from your home. You don't need the huge, 30, 40 years ago to go buy a franchise or build something. You're talking a couple $100,000, you need $1 million,
Yep.
and which isn't, accessible to most people. But with the internet, and a niche idea and a valuable product or service that you can think of, you can create that. So I guess you asked about, the coaching process. That's a process I walk through with our clients, this blueprint. And basically at the end of that call, you leave with a clarified vision of
Mm-hmm.
your vision of what do you want to create actually. And I've noticed some similarities in people. There's certain things we all seem to have an affinity towards, like, more freedom. People say, I want to travel,
Mm-hmm.
and that stuff's all great. What the blueprint's designed to do, though, is designed to go underneath those things and find out what really drives you. Which is the why. What's going to get you out of bed in the morning when you don't have a paycheck? What is it that's going to motivate you to change the world? What is it that's going to inspire you into a space of contribution?
Right.
This is a whole separate conversation we maybe have about the 5 phases of prosperity,
Mm-hmm.
but the 5th phase of contribution that most Americans never get to experience. So all of this, I share all of this because this backwards blueprint process and ignition is designed, really from the mindset of, if you're going to hop in an airplane from
Mm-hmm.
New York City to Hong Kong, and you're 2 degrees off or 3 degrees off on your trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to end up hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from your destination, probably in the middle of the ocean somewhere. And that could have been all adjusted by just having a course correction in our life. And,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we get so caught up in our career and things that we don't have time to take a real honest look at what do you actually want in your life? What do you actually want to create? And I found from doing this process with thousands of entrepreneurs that clarity is power. And that with that clarity, you can cut through the uncertainty and the doubts and, focus on what are the things I can take action on now.
Right.
And what are the things that I can just shelf? And this is a principle I work with my clients called on your plate, on your refrigerator, on your fridge, and in the freezer. So, what things can we just put right now, right in front of you that can make the biggest impact on your plate? What things can we take off your plate? What things can we take off your attention and let go of to free up the room? What's taking your time? And then what things can we put in the toss in the freezer and say, we'll come back to that in like 90 days. That's a great idea, but right now we got to stay focused on keeping the main thing, the main thing. So, so that's the nature of the process, and it's been a lot of joy, a lot of fun working with entrepreneurs, and now we're applying that same coaching process into the Amazon membership site. It's one of the things we're working on is implementing a coaching type model. We haven't fully launched that yet, so that's not even ready at the time that we're doing this. But coaching's been a passion of mine, as you can tell, just helping people to unlock their hidden potential, and I think a lot of things like I admire you for what you're doing with the show. Even conversations like this can help just to open up an idea for somebody, that needs to hear this message. So kudos to you too for having these.
Someone who's searching for this, I want them to find it, and I want them to be able to go, okay, I've heard it enough. I've watched the videos. I see these people who can do it. They can, I can go out and find you, or, get on your webpage and talk to you, and and help me do this backwards blueprint. I mean, that's a great name for that, because usually we have to get to people's why. Why do you want to do this? Why are you dissatisfied with your job? Like, give me the big picture and the big reason. So I love that. That's really cool. How do you encourage, let's say how do you encourage others to get started in entrepreneurship? Or do you just seek those who are already interested? Sometimes people are selective. They go, hey, I can go out and say, hey, do you want to go into entrepreneurship? Or do you just kind of attract people who are already there?
Yeah, I don't openly advertise my coaching services.
Mm-hmm.
So for clients that I work with, I'm very selective with who I choose to invest time with. That's a personal choice that I've made. So somebody that's, those entrepreneurs already have company. That's my sweet spot entrepreneur, someone who has a business, has momentum, and we can make some small tweaks to exponentially increase their outputs, whether it's building systems to replace them or, that's really the person I can help the most.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's just getting into being an entrepreneur and getting your side hustle on.
Right.
There's a lot of great resources I could point you to. But,